Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you the best adult method books of 2021. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and make sure to check the notifications bell to never miss a new video. A week ago, I posted a video about the best piano method books for the young beginner for small children, and I promised to make another one for the older beginner or adult beginner. In this video, I'm going to refer to both of these groups as adult beginner. So if I say adult, just think about it as an older beginner, a 17-year-old as well, or a 15-year-old. The book's materials and approach for the adult beginner is very different than for the young beginner. The adult beginner will want to play songs that they heard on the radio, their favorite classical pieces. Adults have a very busy life and they might find it difficult to find time to go for lessons. Adults sometimes want to learn without a teacher, which is a lot less common for small children. And finally, adults have access to a lot more resources given their experience and age. I have tried and examined a lot of piano method books for adults, but to be honest, adults could easily use some of the books that were meant for children as long as they're not bothered by the drawings or the language. The main difference between the adult and the children piano method books are the style of communication, language, the repertoire, and the pace of the books. They usually go at a much faster pace. So instead of telling you which book is good and bad, again, I will list all the pros and cons for each of these books and let you know which are my favorites and give you some tips for which book might work best in which scenario. And just a small disclosure before we get into the books. Some of these books were made specifically for solo learning, which means that learning without a teacher. Although that's possible and certainly you can try to do that, I would always advise to get a teacher, even if not for regular lessons, but at least for a couple of lessons every now and then, just to point you into the right direction, because a teacher can make progress much faster and you can avoid wasting time on concepts that you struggle to understand or master. Right, let's dive in. The first book I want to talk about is Hall Leonard's Adult Piano Method. This is a spin-off from the traditional piano method that they have, the Hall Leonard Student Piano Library, which is mostly aimed towards children. And this one obviously is made for adults, but it's the same concepts and the same style book. The method contains two books, so two levels, book 1 and book 2, and they contain some theory, some technical exercises. For each of these two books, you can buy some supplementary books like a Christmas tunes book, a popular hits or pop tunes, show tunes, and so on. So if you want to supplement your progress, you can select from these genres and add to the existing songs in the lesson books. Now, I have to admit this is my least favorite book of all because I find the songs quite uninspiring in the first book. They get much better in the second book, but if the songs are boring in the first book, you might never get to the second book because you might give up by the middle of the first book. The lessons are accompanied by bite-sized tips for theory and also technical concepts. And by the end of the book, you are going to cover most of the basic piano playing concepts. So it's a very sound approach in its progress. It's just the music inside that I find quite uninspiring. Also, if you look at the beginning of the book, the entire first chapter is pre-notation. So I call that playing by numbers, where you don't actually read notes, you just read finger numbers and you put your finger numbers on selected notes and you play them by looking at the numbers. This might be a good thing for very small children, ages 5 or 6, but I definitely don't think that it's a good idea for adults. It's wasting time. You could do the entire first chapter in like 10 minutes. You could cover all of those concepts. The book follows a fairly classical traditional approach, so both hands are going to be equally developed. The material has a selection of classic tunes, some traditional and spiritual songs. You won't find pop songs in this book, but if you get the supplementary book, then of course you can get some pop songs as well. Although it's a good book with a sound progress, it's not my first choice, and I would not use this book because there are many other books which follow a very similar pattern, but with much better songs and tunes, and it's much more enjoyable music. I think it works best with a teacher. It's not specifically written for solo learning. Number 2 is Alfred's Basic Adult Piano Course. Now, if you want to play songs as soon as possible, and if you love pop songs, then this is one of the best books you can buy. This one is a spin-off as well from the standard kids edition, and it contains 3 levels, book 1, book 2, and book 3. And it has quite a lot of supplementary materials, and it also has a theory and technique book. Of course, you can get the pop tunes, the Christmas tunes, and lots of other supplementary books for songs. There's also an all-in-one edition which combines all of those together. So it has some pop tunes in it, it has some theory and technique inside the lesson book. So if you want less books on your piano, then you should go for the all-in-one edition. Now, when you get to the end of the 3rd book, it shows you a correlation chart and the end of the book. And after the 3rd adult book, you can go back to the kids edition number 4, level number 4. So once you get to level 4 in the kids edition, it doesn't look so much as a kids book, and you can carry on with that to the higher levels if you want to. This book focuses very strongly on chords and building chords, understanding chords, and since it focuses so strongly on chords in the left hand, it has a pro and a con. The pro is that it's going to prepare you to play pop tunes very quickly and very early on, and also since the songs have so many chords, even the simpler songs, they are going to sound a lot richer and they're going to be less boring than in other method books, especially in the very beginning stages. The disadvantage of this method is that your left hand is going to be significantly less developed than the right hand because you won't play so many scales and technically challenging patterns in the left hand. The left hand is mostly used in this book to accompany the melody in the right hand and to play chords. You can also purchase this book with the CD version, which obviously gives you accompaniments and audio material, which is great for learning by yourself. But again, I think this book works best with a teacher, but it's also possible to do it by yourself, although you might get into trouble here and there. The book starts with notation right from the beginning, so there is no pre-notation, which I'm very happy about. And it also has little letter names written into the notepads in the beginning of the book, which is very helpful if you're learning by yourself because it gives you a point of reference. The notation is fairly big and there's a lot of explanation, so it's very good for solo beginners. Just like the standard Alfred book, it encourages you to read music by intervals, which is a very efficient way of learning to read music. The first book covers most of the basic piano concepts and basic rhythms and some popular rhythms as well that you wouldn't find in classical method books. I would say it's medium to fast paced, but more on the medium, closer to the medium side. The only problem with the book is, as I said, the left hand remains a bit underdeveloped, which is not a huge problem in pop songs, but if you want to play classical songs later on, Chopin or Beethoven, then this book is not for you. It's not going to prepare you for that. Number 3 is the classic piano course for adults. Now, this one is the polar opposite of the Alfred book. This is a hardcore classical method. It will not have any popular material or reference. So if you want to play pop songs, forget about this book. It's not going to help you in that direction. The method has 3 books, 1, 2, and 3, but this complete edition contains all 3 books. And as you can see, it's not very thick. So the whole 3 books are 122 pages altogether. Now, this book is extremely fast-paced. You will play very difficult things by the end of the first book, which is by the end of page 60. It requires a teacher. It's impossible to learn from this book by yourself. There's very little explanation inside the book, so you need a teacher to explain your concepts. However, the book places very strong focus on technical development, so if you follow this book, your technique is going to develop very well and you're going to have a very good playing style. The book, unfortunately, doesn't have any supplementary books, so you can't have any Christmas or pop tunes with it, and also it doesn't have any audio recordings, so you really need a teacher to progress with this book. Having said that, the approach inside is sound, very well thought of, and it progresses in a very logical way. But as I said, it progresses very fast. The music inside is beautiful, lots of favorite classics included even in the easier chapters. So if you like classical music, you're really going to enjoy playing from this book. But if you like pop and if you want to play a mixture of classical and pop or just pop songs, then this is not your book and don't go for it. Next one on the list is Joan Thompson's Adult Piano Course. Now, this one is from the same author as Joan Thompson's, obviously, Easiest Piano Course for Very Small Children. That's one of my favorite books for small kids. So he wrote some very efficient piano method books. This book is from the 40s, so it's not a new method. It's slightly old-fashioned, but this is a new edition of it, which has audio recordings to help your progress. And it also has some supplementary books now. It also has a pop tunes book to complement the lesson book. The method has two books, book 1 and book 2. There are no theory or technical books for the method, and you will find quite little explanation inside, so you will need the guidance of a teacher. However, just like the classic piano course, it puts very strong emphasis on technical development, and you'll find lots of technical drills. The beginning of the book starts with very interesting 1 page is for the student, 1 page is for the teacher. So for the very easy kind of boring songs, you get accompaniment by the teacher to make them more enjoyable to play. And once you get to the second, third chapter, you play by yourself, so there's no more teacher accompaniments. The book obviously starts with notation from lesson 1, as you could see. There's no pre-notation like in the whole Leonard book. And also there is some kind of overlap between the Easiest Piano Method book and this one. So some of the tunes I recognize from the kids book, but this one is more appropriate for adults. I would say this is still a classical approach. Obviously there was no popular approach in the 40s. Everything was classical, but at the same time it has quite a few traditional and spiritual songs. And I have to say that it is very fast paced. You will cover more in the first 2 books of this method than in the first 5 books of the whole Leonard or the Piano Adventures method. The method is going to develop your hands equally, and as I said, it places strong focus on technical development, but it doesn't really talk much about chords and chord theory. As I said, it's quite an old approach. So if you want to play a lot of pop songs, then it might not be the best book for that, even though it has a pop supplementary book, but it doesn't talk about the theory behind pop music and playing with lead sheets and chords and so on. This wouldn't be my first choice for either pop or classical, but I wanted to mention it because it's in the public domain now. So if you don't want to pay for a book, then it's quite a good method to get access to for free. Moving on. It's never too late to play the piano. I have to admit, I've never used this book before. I stumbled upon this book when I was browsing adult piano books on Amazon, and I had to have a look at it. So I ordered 1 copy for myself, and I have to admit, it's a really fresh and sound approach. Now, this is a little bit different to the other methods. I wouldn't call this a method because it's a single book series, so that's all you get, it's 1 book. However, the material inside is very well written and it covers both pop and classical. So as I said, it's only 1 book. There is no level 2, level 3, and there is no technical studies for it. There are no theory books for it, but you've got a couple of supplementary song books. Since the book covers a wide range of genres, you will find some classical tunes in it. You will find Whitney Houston in it. You will also find some traditional and spiritual songs in it. So whichever genre you're more attracted to, you can buy supplementary books for Christmas, jazz, classics, show tunes, rock and roll and blues. The book also comes with a CD, so you can listen to the songs, and there are nice accompaniments for each of the songs inside the book. This method is very, very fast paced, and I think the purpose for it is to teach a complete beginner to play the piano up to an intermediate level in a very short amount of time with very little investment. So this method doesn't want you to buy too many books like the whole Leonard or Piano Adventures, which has so many books in the series. You will definitely need a teacher for this one because it progresses so quickly. The beginning of the book is quite dry. Most of the examples feel like little drills or technical drills, and as you can see, the notation is quite small as well, which might make it a little bit difficult for a beginner to read music. But as soon as you get to the second half of the book, you're going to play classics like Für Elise or even Whitney Houston songs. I think this is a really great and imaginative book with a very modern approach that puts very strong emphasis on technical development. And it also covers so many genres that whatever music you're attracted to, this book is going to be a fit, and it gives you a wide range of skills to be able to play in different styles of music. Although the book is very fast-paced for the complete beginner, if taken very slowly, I think it's manageable for everybody and it's going to be a very enjoyable book to work through. Moving on, the Easy Adult Piano Beginners course. This is by Ho Leonard as well, but it's not part of the first series I was talking about. This is a single book method again, and this book was written specifically for learning by yourself at home. It's very obvious from page 1, and to be honest, it reminds me a little bit of the Dummies series. If you know, Piano for Dummies, Computer Science for Dummies. The layout of the book is very, very similar. It doesn't look like a traditional piano book. The notation is very big, which is excellent for beginners, and you will see letter names in the note heads throughout the book. Now that can be very good when you learn by yourself because again it's a good reference, but if you get to the end of the book after 100 pages, you shouldn't really be seeing letter names in the note heads because it's going to make you too lazy to actually read the notes. The first half of the book is medium paced. It's trying to cover a lot of basic concepts with a lot of explanation and some theory as well. It puts a very strong emphasis on chords, chord inversions, and using chords in pop songs, understanding how chords are built. So for that reason, just like the Alfred method, it leaves the left hand very underdeveloped compared to the right hand. So it's definitely made with the intention of playing more pop songs, spiritual and traditional songs. If you want to go on a classical route and you want to play lots of classical songs, then this book is not for you. The second half of the book is just songs. So once you reach the second half of the book, you finish learning concepts, and then it's almost like a songbook. And for each of these songs, you've got two versions. There is an easy version and there is a pro version of the exact same song after each other. The songs cover a wide range of tunes, but again, you won't find too many pop songs here, and I think that's for copyright reasons. Now, this book doesn't have any supplementary books. There's no technique, there's no theory, and there are no pop books to buy, but it comes with lots of audio recordings to help you progress. This is not a traditional piano method book, and if you want to play classical piano, you should stay away from it. However, if you just want to play piano and play some pop songs, traditional songs, and you don't want a teacher, this is the best book from all of the ones I have here for learning by yourself because it has so much explanation and it was created for people wanting to learn without a teacher. The other thing you have to bear in mind is that the book only covers the basics, so like a very beginner level. It doesn't get to intermediate levels, so if you want to progress after finishing this book, you have to switch to a different method because it doesn't have any higher levels. Next in the line is the Michael Aaron Adult Piano course. Again, this is a spin-off from the traditional course for kids and younger beginners. The kids version I think has 5 levels, and even that one is very fast-paced, but this adult piano course puts all of that into 3 books and is extremely fast-paced. So this is not a book that you can learn from by yourself. You definitely need a teacher. There's very little explanation inside. There's no theory book for it. There's no technique book, and there are also no supplementary song books for it. This book again is from the 50s. So of course it's a traditional piano method. It's not a modern piano method, but I used this in the past when I started teaching, and the songs are really nice and enjoyable in these books for adults and kids as well. But as I said, it's more traditional, spiritual and classical tunes in it. You won't find any pop songs, and it doesn't cover any of the popular theory sections like chords, lead sheets, and popular rhythms. It places a strong emphasis on technical development. You'll see lots of technical exercises, but almost nothing about music theory. By the end of the second book, you're going to play things that the Ho Leonard book doesn't even get to by the end of the 6th book. So that's how fast-paced it is. And it has true classical favorites in not adaptive form, but in the original form. So you can play original classical masterpieces. The reason why I mentioned this book again is because it's in the public domain, so you don't have to pay to get it. Obviously, if you want to get the book, you have to pay for it, but you can access it online for free. Although it's not a great book for the beginner and it's not a great book for learning by yourself, it is a great book for learning extra piano pieces, because if you're doing a piano method, like for example, Ho Leonard Leonard or Piano Adventures, whichever, and you want some extra classical songs, then you can have a look at these methods because they are obviously in a progressive manner, and you can use it as a supplementary book for technical exercises or for classical pieces. Next in line is the Adult Piano Adventures. The Piano Adventures universe, as I call it, because it has hundreds, literally hundreds of books, is becoming one of the English-speaking world's most popular piano method books, not just for kids, but for adults as well. These books were made with so much attention to every single aspect of piano playing. All of these method books come with a lesson book, a theory book, a technique book, scales book, and lots of song books for all kinds of genres: classics, pop, sacred, spiritual, show tunes, Disney, Chinese songs. So everything you can imagine you'll find in this method group or series. The adult method is almost the same as the kids one, but obviously it's a different language again, a slightly faster approach, not much faster, but a slightly faster approach, and also an updated graphics layout, so it appeals more to adults. Now, this book is an all-in-one series. It's a spiral-bound edition, which is excellent for putting it on the piano, and it has, for every chapter, lesson, music theory, technique, and lots of audio recordings to help you with your progress. And there are also video demonstrations on the website that you can access freely with these books. The adult method contains 2 books, 1 and 2, and just like in the Alfred method, after the second book you can switch on to the traditional kids method to, I think, book 3, and then you can progress on with the same books as the kids. The graphics are going to be a little bit different, but the music is still just as beautiful in the kids section as well. I would say this book is slow to medium paced and closer to medium. It's not specifically made for learning by yourself, but I think it's suitable for learning by yourself because there's such a plethora of resources. You have online resources, video resources, audio resources, theory, technical exercises, and a very well explained lesson book. So by all means, you can try it by yourself. Of course, it's going to be easier with a teacher. The first book covers some basic concepts. The songs are not all very enjoyable in the first book because they're quite basic, but you have very nice accompaniments on the audio recordings. So when played together with those, even the very boring songs become very enjoyable. And you can supplement the first lesson book with pop tunes from the pop book. The book covers all genres from classical to pop, and the amazing thing about Piano Adventures is that it basically combines the Alfred and the classic piano course. So it will give you lessons and exercises that will not leave your left hand underdeveloped. So both hands are going to be equally developed in case you want to play classical songs later on, but it also covers a lot of popular piano theory like chords, how to build chords from the very beginning. Is going to give you songs with lots of rich chords, and it moves away from the 5-finger position. So it's a very modern sound, well thought through approach. I can only recommend it. It's very good. It's a little bit slow paced, so it's not the best for the quick learner. If you've had lessons in the past and you just want to brush off your knowledge and carry on, then it might not be the best first book because it's quite slow. But if you're a complete new beginner, then it's one of the best books out there because it gives you the option to go into either direction, pop or classical. Right, I managed to speak for quite a long time in this review as well, but I wanted to point out a lot of information about these books because it's so difficult to make a choice when you start off your piano journey. You don't know much about piano, you don't know what these books are, you just see lots of dots in them. So here are a few final tips if you find the review a bit overwhelming. If you want to learn by yourself without a teacher, then try the Piano Adventures series or the Easy Adult Piano Beginners course. That's the only one that was written specifically for learning by yourself, but Piano Adventures is going to be very suitable for that purpose too. If you are a very fast learner or you had lessons in the past and you just want to carry on, try It's Never Too Late, the Joan Thompson book, Alfred's course, or the classic piano course. All of these are going to be good if you're a fast learner or if you have some previous piano knowledge. If you don't want to buy any books, you just want to try something that's free online, try the Joan Thompson book or the Michael Aaron book. They are both available for free as a public domain resource. If you want to play a lot of pop songs or popular genres, then definitely try the Alfred Method, the Piano Adventures, or the Easy Adult Piano Beginners course. They're all excellent for pop material. If you don't want to play any pop music and you're solely interested in classical piano playing, then the Classic Piano course and the Michael Aaron course is going to be your best choice. If you want a bit of pop and a bit of classical because you can't yet make a decision or you like both of them equally, then Piano Adventures is my first choice in this scenario, or It's Never Too Late is an excellent new book, but it doesn't have so many resources and progression stages as Piano Adventures. So this is the end of my review. If you have any questions about these books, leave them in the comments. I try to answer them. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, subscribe for more.